What's up, everybody? It's Diego with Listenersnotes. Today we're going to be talking about the new album from Big Boi titled Boomiverse. Big Boi is an Atlanta hip hop legend. His best work came out as half of the group Outkast, which has classic after classic. Obviously, he did that with Andre 3000. But, even with that big resume, I can't say I was super excited for a lot of this album. I mean, the single Kill Jill was fantastic, but I know Big Boi was really gonna play that pop rap sound and try to do sort of what ASAP Ferg did with his last album. And as with the case with ASAP Ferg, when a rapper decides to make a bloated pop rap album, they kind of lose sight of what made them appealing in the first place. And ASAP Ferg came out with just a underwhelming album, though I didn't hate it by any means. And of course, that's what happens here, sadly. But first, before I get into anything bad about the album, let's touch on some of the highlights. The single Kill Jill is not only the best song here, but even outside of the context of this album, it's just a great trap banger. I really like the vocal sample that's mixed into the beat, and that beat just absolutely slaps. Killer Mike brings it with his husky and just forceful, demanding flow and delivery, which I just love over this beat. And Jeezy is just especially grimy. This is Atlanta history on a track, essentially. And Big Boi's flow is fantastic as well. I just wanted to bring up Killer Mike and Jeezy because this album has a lot of features that are just awful and questionable. So it's great to see a couple features who actually do their job. I'm also a fan of the song Order of Operations. I'm not in love with it, but I think it's tolerable, and it's one of the better songs in the context of this album. I like the beat, I like the hook. Even if the hook isn't too catchy, sonically, it just sounds pleasing. And Big Boi, he comes in, he's flowing, he's rhyming, he's doing what he's got to do. But that's it. Those are the two songs that I like. And it's not like I hate every song on this album, but a lot of them are just mediocre. But still, there's a select few that are just especially bad. And let's start with Mike Jack, which features Adam Levine of all people. Yes, for Maroon 5. Big Boi is just desperate to get mainstream appeal, I guess. Fine. Okay, but hear me out on this. If you make a grimy Atlanta style album with great features and great beats, won't someone with his name get attention due to the sheer publicity of this great album being promoted? Or even better, if he makes something groundbreaking or new, critics and fans will rave about it, which will give it a gateway into the mainstream and more fans. But that's too hard, so instead we have this mess of a song with a god-awful hip house beat. Yes, a hip house beat. Everything about this song just sounds so clunky and out of place. The synths feel off. Adam Levine just doesn't belong on this song. But this track isn't even that bad in comparison to Freakanomics, which is supposed to be this sexy song about Big Boi and his experiences with freaks. And it opens up with this cliche but admittedly sexy saxophone, and you're like, oh, okay, he's gonna do a smooth track here. And then that is replaced with some garbage sounding synths that sound like a cheap ass video game, and then these auto-tuned vocals on the hook just sound so robotic. There's no emotion in those vocals. It's not sexy. Why not get a guy like Anderson .Paak to sing the hook and bring some charisma to the song? But no, you're right. We'd rather have this lifeless sex bot just croon, or better yet, get another Adam Levine feature on here. Okay, I'll play the devil's advocate here. Maybe he wasn't trying to be sexy. He was just bragging about all of the freaks he's with, or telling stories about the freaks he's been with. The issue is, regardless of what he's trying to do, this robotic ass voice gives off no emotion, no feeling. It's just there, and it doesn't even sound good. It's just there, and the verses are just nonsense. It's just random sex things, but there's no story, there's no point. He's just saying stuff, and half of the lyrics are just filler. It's a mess. But this isn't even the worst song on the album. Oh, I wish it was, though. Let's talk about the song Chocolate, which has easily the sleaziest, most cliche house beat that I think I've ever heard. It sounds like a club scene in a really bad action film. It's just a kick drum with occasional cymbals, but just the way it's used, ugh. So not only is the beat boring as hell, but the verses are just not good. They're so average. And yes, Big Boi's rhyming, he's saying some things, but there's nothing here that's like drawing my attention because it's super crazy. There's no crazy wordplay, no content. He's not talking about anything. So okay, fine, let's pay attention to the flow and the beat, but that's just there's not enough there. And the hook with the pitch shifted chocolate. No, no, please, please don't, please, please. Everything about this song just sounds so awkward. And then the rest of this album is just a pile of mediocrity. To touch on a couple tracks, All Night, this is supposed to be this sort of upbeat sounding song, but I guess it's about sleeping with this girl all night, just being with each other all night or whatever. And that sounds cool in concept, right? But the beat just, and the hook reminds me so much of Cash Machine by Drum, and it's so hard to pay attention to the actual song because I keep thinking about that. And even if I do ignore that comparison, I can't say that Big Boi did that kind of song any more justice than Drum did. At least Drum is a much better singer and just has more personality over the mic. And in my opinion, Big Boi's his lyrics and his verses and his flows don't compensate for that lack of vocal talent. And sure, the rest of the album has some decent beats. There's some decent performances here and there, but nothing that can just save this album. Put the decent songs anywhere else. I don't know what I think about them. I guess they serve the purpose of spacing out the lowlights here, just keeping this album from sounding unbearable. No, honestly, I don't hate this album. I know it's probably coming off like that. It's not the worst thing ever. But if you're making a pop rap album, you want it to actually be appealing. This album just sounds like a failed cash grab, and it's sad to think that Big Boi is doing that. It's a 45 out of 100 for me. Again, not the worst thing ever, but it's definitely a disappointing album. So, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next video.